Some icy weather concerns on this Wednesday evening. Welcome back to Weather for Weather Geeks. We have freezing rain on the way tonight. We could have more freezing rain on Saturday. We'll talk about both of those systems in this video. And I'm recording this video at about 7:10 p.m. and this is what the radar looked like at that point. Now, we've had some Virga on the radar today. We talked about over the last couple of days this little band of snow that might try to set up today. Well, the radar kind of depicted it, but the dew points have been in the teens today. The air in the lowest couple hundred feet of the atmosphere is very, very dry. So this little bit of snow has had a hard time reaching the ground. Bigger concerns, though, off to our south. Already we're starting to see some freezing rain breaking out near the I-70 corridor, down towards Zanesville and Cambridge and some of the southern suburbs of Columbus, and down towards Cincinnati and Indianapolis as well. There's been some thunder and lightning, actually, from Cincinnati on south. Today, we've had some thunder mixed with, or not mixed with, but in concurrence with some freezing rain at times in far southern Ohio and northern Kentucky over the last few hours. Now, it's going to take most of the evening for a lot of this activity to work off to the north, but once it does so, it's going to spell trouble around here. And almost every county in Ohio and Pennsylvania under a winter weather advisory, although it's a ice storm warning in effect for the higher terrain across Pennsylvania and down into the spine of the Appalachians in West Virginia as well. Ice accretion numbers in that zone will be locally over 1/4 of an inch. So that's going to be real problematic for anyone traveling, especially tomorrow morning. Anyone traveling south and east of Pittsburgh along the PA Turnpike, you're going to run into this big time towards Johnstown and Altoona. I-80 will also be no fun for a time tomorrow morning across the northern tier of PA from Mercer County, but especially just east of there into Venango County, out towards Oil City, across I-80 towards DuBois, and eventually over towards Clearfield as well. Now, conditions for anybody traveling from our area closer to Cleveland will be kind of similar tonight. The rain will taper off a little sooner off to the west, so it'll stop raining in a place like Cleveland probably by 3 or 4 in the morning. It may take until 6 or 7 in the morning for most of the rain to taper off around our TV viewing area. Now, this map shows the kind of a high-resolution view of all the temperature sensors across northeast Ohio and western PA. The road temperatures, due to some insulation, that's the process of the sun's radiation kind of heating the ground a little bit, even though we had a lot of clouds today. The sun's getting a little bit stronger this time of the year, so the sun can heat the ground enough that even though these are the air temperatures, the road temperatures are probably a degree or two higher than these numbers on average. Air temperatures here in the 7 o'clock hour are pretty much uniformly in our viewing area around 28 or 29 degrees. Road temperatures mostly 30 or 31. So the timing has not really changed with our expectations here of freezing rain getting going from south to north between about 11:30 to midnight and about 2 in the morning. By 2 or 3 in the morning, it should be raining just about everywhere. But then the rain will start tapering, I think, as we head towards daybreak tomorrow morning. Probably not much more than drizzle out there as the sun comes up right around 7:30 on our Thursday morning. So for early morning, commuters tomorrow, I get a lot of questions about, hey, can we expect school cancellations and that sort of thing? I'm not in the business of predicting what schools are going to do. It's really hard for me to even predict exactly how road conditions will be. It just depends on the neighborhood. It depends on the municipality, who's treating the roads, and things like that. My expertise is in weather forecasting, and when it comes to the weather tomorrow morning, for anyone heading out and about by about 7 or 8, kind of the prime rush hour, if you will, morning rush hour, a lot of this precipitation will be tapered off to patches of drizzle, and most importantly, the air temperature will be mostly above freezing at that point. Now, again, out to the east, still some problems in the daylight hours tomorrow, east of I-79 into central PA. But we're pretty much out of the woods heading up towards Cleveland in terms of anything falling from the sky other than patchy drizzle by the time the sun comes up tomorrow morning. Now, that being said, colder surfaces can remain cold. Even though the air temperature will have risen to 34, 35, 36 degrees, the temperature of the hood of your car or your windshield or even your deck or your sidewalk probably still below freezing. And so, yeah, you'll still be scraping probably if you left your car out overnight. In parts of our area, there can certainly be that glaze lingering for a couple of hours tomorrow morning. But anything as far as a glaze goes will melt pretty quickly as we head towards midday and afternoon as we get into the 40s tomorrow out of this cold front. Now, in the wake of this front, we clear things out for a time tomorrow night. Clouds roll back in Friday morning. This kind of kicker disturbance right here, this dash black line, will trough of low pressure. It might trigger a flurry first thing Friday morning. The majority of Friday just brisk and cold, kind of like early February is expected to be. Now let's talk about the upcoming weekend. Things are going to stay quiet into Friday night and actually most of the daylight hours on Saturday. The arrival time of the precipitation with this next system on Saturday, a little slower looking today than some of the data was showing over the last couple of days. So, this is 8 a.m. and, the precipitation's still south of the Ohio River at this point. It's going to take until probably about sunset or even a little after for precipitation to push back in. But I am concerned about, more icy problems for Saturday evening. This is going to be one of those situations that's not going to be snow because the air aloft that's streaming in with this warm front will just be too warm to support snow for the most part. So right around 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock Saturday evening, that could be a window where we have some ice accretion. We could have some sleet pellets, some freezing rain. The more freezing rain we would have, the more problematic this would be. So we'd be rooting for sleet over freezing rain, that is for sure. The weather modeling today, pretty impressive though, at least some of it, with regards to the ice numbers on Saturday. This is today's run of the European. Now, the European also was way overdone ahead of tonight's system a couple of days ago. So the European has a little bit of a bias 2 or 3 days ahead of a system in which there might be ice. It has a bias towards overdoing the ice amounts. But, even the GFS, the red line down here, while it's under 1/10 of an inch, there's been some runs of the GFS that are closer to 0.2 or even 1/4 of an inch. So it's possible that Saturday evening's ice accretion numbers will be even more significant than tonight's. So that's something we'll be keeping an eye on for the weekend. Now, it's been kind of a back and forth week, and that will continue for the next couple of days. Warmer tomorrow afternoon, colder on Friday, and then it looks like we're going to settle into a colder pattern for a while. Will all of February be like this? I doubt it. I think there will be some warmer periods, at least for a couple of days here and there. But it's looking more and more like the cold's going to try to outduel the warmth during the second half of the month, which is a little bit of a change to our thinking when it comes to the month of February. I talked about this a couple nights ago. Ridging popping up into Alaska is promoting cross-polar flow, the air coming down out of Canada and rushing into the U.S. And while there will be a southeast ridge that protects kind of the east coast from the worst of the cold, this far to the west, I do think the cold's going to win more battles than not for a little while here in February. And I also think that we're going to have some winter weather threats next week. And I think next week's threats with that colder air mass settling in may, be more snowstorm threats than mixed precipitation threats. This would specifically be focused mostly around midweek, perhaps as early as Tuesday. And another system or two could roll on through during the middle and latter portions of next week. So we could be dealing with some snow threats and rumors of storms with a fair amount of frequency as we go into that second and third week of February. So winter is certainly not done with us. We just had a harsh, cold January. It wasn't particularly snowy, but it was pretty cold. February is not as cold overall, but as we kind of advertised, it is shaping up, I think, to be a much more active month with lots of chances for winter weather mischief. If you have to be out and about tonight and first thing tomorrow morning, use some caution. Be careful out there. I'll keep you updated on social media and tonight on 21 News at 11 p.m. Make sure you're following me everywhere. You can find me on, nearly all the major social media networks these days, including TikTok and BlueSky and Threads. And I'm, of course, a longtime user of both X, Facebook, and, Instagram as well. And a lot of you are watching on YouTube. Thanks for watching wherever you're watching tonight. I'll see you back here for an update on the weekend coming up on Thursday.